Big thanks to Toy News Eye for sending this one out. Check out their review forums and a link in the description down below. Kaiju, Dragon Ball, Pokemon, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews. Hello there, collectors, it's Steven here bringing you yet another deluxe review. This time we're going to be taking a closer than usual look at the MonsterArts Godzilla 2019. Be prepared to know everything there is about this figure from inside and out. Stay tuned to the end for an extended gallery. So with the rather miss that was the MonsterArts Godzilla 2014, a lot of fans were wondering if on the 2019 version they would have a repeat of what happened 5 years ago, but I'm pleased to say that may not be the case. So let's take a look to see whether or not he's worth adding into your collection. Since this is a deluxe review, we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at the box. I did do an unboxing video for this one, so if you want to take a more in-depth look at that, hey, there's a video for you. Anyway, so taking a quick look at the box here, it is fantastic. Deviating from previously released MonsterArts figures, because here we do have a nice promotional shot of Godzilla on the front, but it features a nice style guide for the new MonsterVerse figures, at least from this movie, with an almost satin-like finish on the box with a nice blue glow, and overall, it is awesome. If you're an MISB collector, congratulations. This is definitely a nice one for your display. Okie dokie, folks, let's go ahead and take a close look at the figure here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get the things that are wrong with this figure out of the way because, well, you know how it goes over here. Lots of folks like to hear that. But thankfully, I'm going to keep that list really short of what objectively is amiss on this figure. First and foremost, for whatever reason, we're nearly a decade into this line and Bandai still cannot get eye placement right on some of their figures. Especially when they had a chance with 2014 to really tighten it up, and it's still not perfect here. Now, don't get me wrong, on mine, the eyes are actually pretty alright. They're not that bad, but I have seen one of them with one eye in the eyebrow and the other one looking straight ahead. That is not quality, folks. And sometimes the top row of teeth kind of looks like there's like one of those whitening strips all the way around, but I'm pleased to say it's not every single one. Very similar to Kiryu Goji released a little bit ago, you're going to have some variability between, yeah, it's pretty good, and ship it back and get a replacement. Now, that being said, there's a lot of variability there. The rest of the figure looks amazing. Bandai did an awesome job here ensuring that the sculpt was as movie accurate as possible, not only utilizing the actual model that was used in the movie, but also having Monster Master Yuji Sakai step in and help to enhance the details, making them a bit more sharp and adding his own personal flair where needed. If you were to actually compare stills of this figure to what we see in the movie, you'll actually find that the curvature on some of the dorsal plates and some of the scutes and some of the ridges and whatnot will be accurate. Pretty much the most accurate figure on the market, as of right now anyway. With the paint application, aside from the face of Godzilla, you're also going to find some amazing little details here, like a nice spray of brown on the chest and actual painted nails and claws on this guy, which is great to see. We have fantastic detailing on the dorsal plates, which you're really come to expect of in this line, even on some of the figures which are misses. But unfortunately, there isn't a whole lot of other paint applications aside from what is going to be on the chest and on the different nails for this figure. Overall, in terms of sculpt and paint, Bandai really nailed this one to the wall, except for some variability with the eyes and the teeth. Okie doke, time to talk about the articulation, and I am pleased to say that this guy is an improvement over whatever this was that got released in 2014. Now, before we get into this, if you see some stuff falling out of him, don't worry, it's not paint. It's sand. What? Wait till the end and you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, so what do we have? Well, as you're soon going to about to see, this is clearly a ball joint, so we can move the jaw around in a couple of different ways, but mostly open and close it. And the tongue is on a joint as well. Kind of looks like a bit of a ball joint, so you can push it down a little bit and go back up. I wouldn't move it around too much. Doesn't really seem like it enjoys moving, but yeah, you can get him to put his tongue down a bit. So the head is on a ball joint system where you can actually pop the head off a little bit here. So we have a double axis or barbell style ball joint there, which is really good. And one of the reasons for this, let me make sure I'm getting this back on correctly, a lot of folks were pretty upset, myself included here, I don't know if I'm getting it back on right. Here we go. That the 2014 Godzilla could not look up. Well, thanks to some more ball joints down here, boop, yep, he can look up. Down, yeah, that's serviceable enough because we do have a waist joint and an ab crunch that's kind of stuck on mine, but it's okay. That help move it around in other directions, so we can twist and turn him from side to side and rock him around, which is always great. Now, here comes a part of the articulation which some folks are having a little bit of trouble with. Shoulders. What do we have? Well, we do have ball joints, which are nice. You know, we can move Godzilla's arms out. Not too far, but they still work. Now, one issue that some folks are having is that some of these joints are stuck. Okay? If they're stuck or they're really tight to move on yours, blast it with heat. Give it a good 30 to 45 seconds. Then move it slowly. That should free it up. No problem at all there. Okay? Because that's what I did. Now, for the elbows, I believe this is going to be working like some of the other Godzillas where there's going to be a ball joint where the elbow plugs into the bicep and the forearm. And there's going to be a hinge hidden in there. So this way we can move the arms around, get them to rock around a little bit. Very nice movement, so that's great. And then we're going to have ball jointed wrists. So overall, the arms do move rather well as long as you give them the proper heat treatment. So I went out of order. I already talked about the waist and the ab crunch, both ball joints. What do we have here for the legs? Well, we do have ball jointed hips, which do move rather well, and we can get Godzilla to put his legs together, which is great to see there. We do have the standard hinge knee with some ball joints popping into the thigh and lower portion of the leg, so this way we get a little bit of movement there, which is nice. Nice range there. Just as a quick note, Godzilla can push his leg out about that far forward and about that far back. All right, so those familiar with the 2014 Godzilla know that we have a ball joint cut in the middle, so this way we can rock the leg around there, and then we do have a ball joint for the ankle, which mine kind of sort of likes to pop off, but honestly, it's not a huge deal because it's only few and far between, so that's okay. Same on the other side. If I just kind of force it, it'll pop off. Now, here is an iffy area for some folks, because there is a gap. I mean, all MonsterArts figures have them. They're expected at this point. But aside from that, a lot of folks are having trouble with the tail, saying that it's a bit too stiff. To be honest, yeah, I think it's a bit stiff. I don't think that a whole lot of engineering went in to make sure it could be as flexible as it could be, because the vanilla 2014 Godzilla had a lot of joints and it could really twist and turn and move around, but it was very loose. Spitfire did ultimately fix that. But honestly, if you give it the good old-fashioned heat treatment, I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And a little tip that I found is if you just turn the tail ever so slightly with that base ball joint, that ain't so bad. I mean, he can't point his tail directly up in the air, which he should be able to do, but, it could be better. So overall, for Godzilla's articulation, all the joints work well, especially if you give him the good old-fashioned heat treatment, and then after that, your Godzilla should be smooth for posing in a whole bunch of different ways. Overall, good, but, some things could be improved. But what couldn't be? Accessories time, and what do we have? Well, I am pleased to say that this is one of the rare occurrences where the vanilla version of a figure actually comes with an accessory. Godzilla 2019 comes with an atomic breath effect part, but what's better than that is instead of including a stand with this release, which some folks really do prefer, myself, I'm for it and I'm against it, they included a swappable lower jaw part, which has a little bit of an atomic burst to it, so this way you can just slide in the beam and then it looks a bit more natural for the most part. So the way that it works is you just pop off the default lower jaw and then you pop in the atomic burst part and you're good to go. Now when you put in the atomic breath part, well, we do have an issue that comes up. It is really heavy, and that's going to weigh down the ball joint, so it really looks like Godzilla's opening his mouth up like a cobra. So the whole intention here is that you're going to want to point Godzilla's head up after Serizawa does his thing. He juices Godzilla. So that is really great for a recreation of that, but otherwise, you're going to have to play with it and maybe use something to support Godzilla's beam, so this way it's not constantly pulling down, like a support stand. Anyway, this is going to be a recast of the 2014 Spitfire version beam, except for it's going to be a much more rich blue with some silver paint application on the top. So with that being said, if you really wanted to, and you do have the Spitfire 2014, you can use that beam instead, but it doesn't really match up. Yeah, doesn't look as good. So this is a great accessory to include with the vanilla version of Godzilla 2019, and this sort of circumvents a potential Spitfire release to come down the line. But we are probably going to be able to make a safe bet for what variant of 2019 they're going to release. So, yeah. How are they going to get that AoE effect for that Godzilla? Anyway, if you want some other effect parts to really enhance your Godzilla's display, I have a video to help you out with that one. So go ahead and click on the card popping up in the top right-hand corner of the screen. Now we're going to go ahead and move right on over to a size comparison, so this way you can see exactly how big this Godzilla is. We've got everything here from some Bandai vinyl figures to some SH Figuarts, some of the latest Dragon Ball Super Figuarts, and we're also going to have some comparisons with some Monsterverse figures. So as you can clearly see here, this Godzilla will fit in perfectly with basically any 6-inch Godzilla display, which is always nice. Now, a lot of folks have probably been wondering about this, so we're going to go ahead and save it for the end of the review. A comparison with the 2014 MonsterArts Godzilla. And right away, you should be able to say, whew, they did a real nice step up in quality. As you can clearly see, the head sculpt is obviously different, but what else is really neat is it's an entire new figure from the ground up. Yes, there are going to be some things that look similar, but if you look really close at the chest, if you look at the dorsal plates, if you look at some of the sculpt marks in general, there is no way that they could have just changed some of the details and have the piece recast, so this way they could use it for mass production. They actually had to go back in and change everything from the ground up. Even though there are some parts which do look similar, there is not a one-to-one part reused from the 2014 MonsterArts to the 2019. That being said, cool? I mean, they could have kind of maybe gotten away with just retooling things, but then I guess at the same time, they would have to make brand new molds. So yes, those of you who were worried about spending $70 and getting a slightly reused figure, well, guess what? It's all new. Cool. So, buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Gotta say here, I was really worried with this release because I really thought Bandai would once again not deliver on the newest Godzilla design, and there would be a flop. We didn't have a great 2014 release. You know how I feel about Shin, and Godzilla 2017 really proved that it wasn't that great once they released Godzilla Earth. That being said, Godzilla 2019 can be a variable to this is a really awesome figure. I'm closer to that end of the spectrum. I really do like mine. It is definitely a top contender for one of my favorite base Godzilla MonsterArts figures, so I do have to say that if you are liking the MonsterVerse design of Godzilla, this is going to be a figure you're going to want to get. Now that being said, do be prepared for some wonky eyes and teeth. If they're not up to your standards, try working with the retailer to get a better one that you will like, because when this is good, it's really good. The only concern that I have for almost every single figure is going to be that swappable lower jaw for the beam. Will it loosen up? Will it break? I don't know. Time will tell. But that all being said, yeah, it's pretty good. Definitely worth the purchase. Now, normally here is where I would go ahead and send you on your way to maybe the next STR video you'd be interested in, but since this is a deluxe review, you know that I have a gallery planned for you. So we're going to go ahead and get some music playing while I show you some very pretty pictures. Now for this gallery, of course, I'm going to treat you to some action figure photography with some other figures and battle scenes and whatnot, but I recently took Godzilla to a local beach and I had a little bit of fun with him. So I hope you enjoy the upcoming pictures, and I will catch ya in the next video.